Can you share a specific time in your life where you were surrounded by people but still felt completely alone?
So the most recent incident, I was falsely accused by a school district that hired me to be a school principal. And in that place of being accused, God called me to be silent. And it was the most isolating season of my life. Like, we go through spouts where we withdraw from people and we get in our lives together, but this was a forced isolation I felt. And on the day, I remember like it was yesterday, it was February the 8th, 2024, and I walked out of work and I went in isolation, I guess you would have to say. And as the events began to unroll and I began to go viral and all these things, God set me down and said, be still. It was almost like, be still, because you know I'm God. And I'm like, I'm used to being my own champion. I'm used to being strong. I'm used to being the one. But in that moment, I wasn't allowed to speak my truth. And it was so uncomfortable for me that even when I went home and the people who I lived with packed their bags up and went and took a trip, and it was so hurtful. I'm like, but I didn't even have the words for what I was going through. I was just hurt because I felt like the world was trying to invalidate who I was. Even in that, like, friends were texting me who would normally call me and be like, oh, I'm praying for you. And in that moment, I didn't need a text message. I needed someone who would run over to my house and pray with me and stand in my living room and pray with me and know that in that moment I was being supported. But there was nothing I could do but stand and allow God to do his work. And so, yes, I know what it's like to be surrounded by people and to feel completely alone. And I also know what it's like to be supported. But that moment of being surrounded and being alone is the worst place to feel when you feel like your hands are tied. And it is a very hurtful feeling when you know how many people or how often you've stood in the gap for someone else.
But that's part of that isolation before elevation. And we'll come back to that, but